Hey guys, what's up? It's Rygar the Destroyer, and today we're going to be taking a look at all of the Astromech droids that have been released in the Star Wars Black Series so far. Couple things I do want to mention before we get started, however. I'm not including any of the model kit Astromech droids. I know they do technically fit in with the Black Series, however, we're just going to be taking a look at these because I do not have the time or the patience to sit there and put those other ones together. So we're just going to look at these ones here. One other thing I want to mention before we get started is I don't have every release of the Astromech droids, specifically R2-D2. I didn't get the original release, and I'm not going to pay like 90 bucks to get that one just for this video. So when I talk about this figure, I'll also mention that original figure and some of the differences that there are between those. So let's go ahead and get started with these three figures over here. Alright, starting off with these figures. Now, R2A3, R5K6, and R2F2, honestly I don't know how anybody remembers these names, were originally released as part of a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 3-pack. However, I and probably the majority of people picked them up later as a Toys R Us exclusive. Now, these figures are really cool. Honestly, they're not characters that are featured, I think, very heavily in any of the movies, and they have kind of just, you know, generic repaints basically, but I do think that they look cool, specifically this one here in the middle. I really like the paint job on these ones, and these guys kind of set up a trend that you'll see through this video, and that is exclusives. For some reason, a lot of Astromech droids end up being exclusive figures, but let's kind of go ahead and move on to the next 3-pack. Alright, up next we've got the Amazon exclusive Red Squadron 3-pack, and this is one that I honestly like quite a bit. The first reason for that is that you get a re-release of R2-D2 along with these two other droids. This one here in the middle is R5-D8, and then we've got R2-X2. But back to R2, really why I like this pack is that it gives us another re-release of R2-D2 that's a little bit different. Obviously, it's intended to be the kind of battle-damaged version from the end of New Hope, but I think it could also be passed off as a Dagobah version. It's not quite dirty enough, but I think it does work. And as far as the other figures, they do have a little bit heavier paint weathering, especially R2-X2 here, as you can see, if it'll focus here. And this is really, I think, the second winner from this pack. I really like this one in the kind of British racing green. I think it looks cool. But all three of them are really nice figures. Alright, moving on to the next figure here. It is the GameStop Exclusive R5-D4 figure. And this is a figure, honestly, that I really like. I mean, obviously, he's not a main character, but most Astromechs are not. However, one thing I do have to say that's kind of bad about this figure is that it was given to GameStop as an exclusive. And typically, well, I personally don't like GameStop as a business. I've had a ton of problems with them. Every time I order figures, there's always some problem with them. But the problem with this figure was that they just didn't really make enough of them, in my opinion. This one, right after its release, was really hard for me to find, and I actually had to buy it from the secondary market. I wasn't even able to order it from GameStop directly, so that definitely inflated its price. However, if you can get your hands on it for a reasonable price, it definitely is a cool figure. Continuing on our trend of exclusive figures, up next we've got R2-Q5 from the Entertainment Earth exclusive 4-pack. This guy's really cool. Honestly, I really like the color choice that they did, the Imperial colors, and it really stands out on the shelf just because of how dark it actually is, and obviously it looks good in an Imperial display. One other thing that's sort of interesting about this figure is that for the longest time, you could get these for dirt cheap. I don't know if Entertainment Earth just ordered too many of those or the pack wasn't that popular, but you could get this guy for next to nothing. So definitely keep an eye out for this one. If you like Astromech droids but you're also on a budget, it's usually an easier one and a cheaper one to find. Alright, up next we've got the 40th Anniversary Collection R2-D2, and we'll also talk about the original Black Series release R2-D2 as well. As far as the figure is concerned, there's really no difference at all. The real change or the real difference between these figures is the accessories that were included in the packaging, and the original Black Series figure just came with more of them. I don't know why Hasbro didn't decide to include them with the re-release. You know, obviously they already had the molds and everything. I assume it has to do with cost cutting or something. But either way, I ended up with the 40th anniversary collection. Really, I don't mind not having the accessories, and I'm not willing to pay the outrageous secondary market prices to get them. However, if you do want some more posing options, that may be something that you'll want to track down. Up next, we've got my favorite Astromech droid that Hasbro has released so far, and that is Chopper. I love the character from the TV show, so I'm a little bit biased, but the figure itself is absolutely amazing. Hasbro included a ton of accessories with this guy that, you know, open up a ton of posing options, as well as an extra leg that changes him to the later season appearance, which is just really cool that they included that in the package. Definitely my favorite from the line. He's the most expressive, he comes with the most accessories, and has the most articulation. And then obviously he looks different. It's the first figure so far that we've seen that's not basically on the same mold. So really a cool figure, and definitely worth tracking down, even if you don't like the Rebels TV show. Up next, we've got a figure that I wasn't originally going to include on this list. However, I had it, so I figured I may as well go ahead and put it in here, and that is BB-8. Now, obviously, this was a pack-in figure that was released with the Force Awakens Rey, but it's definitely a cool figure, and I'm glad that they didn't make us buy it single-carded because, as you can see, it's just pretty tiny. But nevertheless, it is a cool toy, and definitely worth picking up if you don't already have it. And finally, we've got BT. This is probably my second most favorite Astromech that's been released so far after Chopper, and that's just because they've taken a normal Astromech and they've just strapped a ton of rockets and chain guns and stuff all over him. It's kind of funny, and I also read the Dr. Aphra comics where this guy is from, so I have a connection to the character, and I'm really glad that they decided to make it into a toy. It's cool. For your collection, even if you don't read the comics, it just looks funny. I don't know, something about it just sort of speaks to me. And if there are any of these figures that you'd like to see a closer look of, I have individual reviews for all of them where I go over all of their accessories and articulation as well. So if you're interested, definitely check those out. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the comment section below, and I guess I'll see you later.